Yes, g'day. Welcome to the show, FootyCast, live from BackChat Studios. We're WA's best footy show and WA's best beer combined to bring you all the biggest footy news and preview round 12, Skeeter. Good to be with you, mate. How are you?
I'm well. In the words of the Eurythmics, with this long weekend coming up, here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a tragedy. I'm not sure if you've heard the Eurythmics, but that is a song which I think is appropriate for the next 4 days. And I just was on Facebook, and I know it was a solemn post by you, but I didn't know you actually played for the Jackson 5 back in the day. This is your first game. There it is. Your hair's just going everywhere. It's brilliant. I loved it.
So, hang on. Let's just peel this back a little bit. Can we just go back to... we'll get to my Facebook post in a little bit. The Eurythmics.
Eurythmics.
I know.
Annie Lennox. You heard of her?
Yeah, I have. I'm just wondering why that's on your mind.
Because it's going to P155 ED down in the next 4 days, and we're going to be doing the footy.
Far out. You are,
I'm just trying to come in with something.
You're a complex but simple man, and I love
more simple than complex.
I love like where you pull that from.
I just thought about it then.
Because people think that we might sit here and prepare. I'm going to go with the Eurythmics fucking quote off the top, and I'll be like, yeah, good idea, Skate. No, we just sit down and turn the bloody thing on, and you've come out with that. That's what. I like it. It's got me in a good mood. And what's this about? What's Jackson 5?
No, because it was your first game. No, it was a tribute to Adam Selwood. It was a lovely post.
I know you're not having a go at it.
But it was just, well, have a look at that. That is, if it's Jackson 5, remember them? The hair was just out there. That was you game one. And Ben Cousins and Sellers were there. So who was it against?
Bulldogs. We won by about 100 and I played about 2 quarters.
That's okay. No, it's good. I like it. Then we go down to 18 and you looked a more mature man.
We'll have a quick, excuse me, we'll have a quick little chat about that off the top and then we can probably move on to our footy news. We had Sellers' funeral yesterday. It was incredibly sad. Great to have the football community that is West Coast around. It was a big showing. It's probably 600 people there, I reckon. But just a really sad day, to be honest. And someone sent me that photo during the week. It's a photo from my first game coming off the ground, and I've got Cuzzy on one side and Adam Selwood patting me on the back. And it's actually just excuse me, it's a beautiful way to sort of summarise Adam Selwood, right? He's next to a kid in his biggest moment, letting me off first and patting me on the back. So. It was pretty brutal.
We discussed before we went on. The only thing we did discuss is that when you go to a funeral, when you go to a wake, when a bloke is so young and the circumstances surrounding it, it's great to catch up with mates. But it's an empty feeling through, you have a few beers, but your heart's not in it for obvious reasons, and you just wish you weren't there under those circumstances.
Yeah, so rest in peace, Sellers, and we'll all be thinking of him forever, really. So let's get into the Shelter FootyCast, though, mate, because what I have learned over the last couple of weeks is what we do here and on a few of our other shows, having a laugh and banter does help people, and it helps me as well, Skate. So I don't know, have you got any other more quotes from the Eurythmics to move us on to another one? Or?
No, it was just one because it's going to pour with rain. I just thought...
Isn't the Eurythmics like, sweet dreams are made of... So is that song?
No, it's a different song. That's Sweet Dreams are made of this.
Okay.
This is a different song. But
what's the other song you've said? What's the name of the other song?
That was just a lyric out of the song.
So you're pausing, so you don't know.
No, I'll think of it. I'll put me on the hop. There's just 2 lyrics that are always stuck in my head.
Can you say it again? I wasn't listening, to be honest. I just heard the Eurythmics and then I just blanked out.
Here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a tragedy. And mind you, during a derby last year at the Wacker, in the Waffle for Channel 7, for some reason, this lightning went to go. They had to go off the ground for half an hour. And I said, thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening. And everyone said it was a goal. And that's from, of course, Freddie Mercury and Queen. Remember that? Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening. All that,
Galileo.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I've got you. You and I...
Should we do Bohemian Rhapsody fucking line for line for the
karaoke? Do karaoke somewhere.
I'll lock you in for that. I'm coming to your house Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that for? Are we doing karaoke?
We're going to watch the footy and just have a couple of shelters and basically let the girls have champagne and we'll drink shelter.
I tell you what we're going to do, and this will be the first and last time I mention this because if you haven't got your stout in hand, it's going to be difficult to get for the footy this weekend. But I'm going to bring a 4-pack of export stouts around. We're going to watch the footy and we're going to decide once and for all, and I'm going to put some social content up. Yes, I am, Ski.
Oh, so filming me just sitting there at home, quietly minding my own business.
Is the footy better with shelter? This weekend, Export Stout is the beer. We're going to move on to some other beers after this one, but make sure you let us know for your chance to go into the running for the WA giveaway with the nights at the Hilton, the dinner at Shelter, the par 3, the chocolates, the wine, the beer, all of that. you need to go onto shelterfootycast.com.au and click on Is the Footy Better with Shelter? Let us know. Submit your submission. If it's not, let us know. If it is, let us know. I want to know, is the footy better with the Shelter Export Stout? Make sure you get that in you. Skeeter, before we start the show, excitingly, I know you're excited about this, Frothies with the FootyCast and Friends next Saturday before the Kangaroos and West Coast game in Busselton at Shelter on the brew deck, and everyone's invited. And you're coming, your mum's driving you to the event.
She doesn't know that yet. But well, we're staying in Dunsborough with my wife, who's going up back to Perth on a Saturday, and so I might see if mum will come up there. So I'll have to make, she doesn't drink, which is perfect really for me, because I'll just unleash.
I wonder how many years of drinking has started for you. Mum, can you take me to this place? So Frothies with FootyCast and Friends, it's at Shelter. It's open to everyone, especially to listeners of this podcast. You just need to register and tell us you're coming, just so we know. Just, you know, we don't want, well, we do, maybe. If there's 1,000 people coming, we just want to know there's 1,000 people coming, Skate, to come and have a beer with me and Skate. That's it. There's no podcast. We're having some beers. We're putting some beers on. You come down and grab one of those. There'll be plenty of frothies.
I might be down at the Dunsborough Hotel during the day having a frothy and a punt. So I might not be in the best shape, but we'll see how we go.
So if having a beer with a half-cooked Mark Reddings is of interest, which it is to me, while he's holding his scrunched up betting tickets in his hand, watching the racing on his phone, make sure you're at Shelter on Saturday. So it's next Saturday, kicking off from 5 p.m. We'll have a look at what races start around then. Well, there'll
be footy. There'll be something on. There'll be some code of sport.
You just need to let us know. So there's links in our bio on Instagram. There's some on Shelter's Insta as well. Just click on the link and say you're coming. That's all. That's all we expect from you, and we've got lots of good times to have there. So if you are going to be down south for the game next weekend, we'd love to see you at Shelter for a beer, a bit of food, and a bit of fun, and Skeeter to lose some bets. That'd just top my weekend off absolutely beautifully. All right, Skeet, let's get into the big moments of the round. You know, I had a bit of feedback. I'll shout him out as well. Tom from Shelter said, need you to stop talking about the MRO. Well, Tom, piss off. Alex Pearce's ban has been lifted. Action over outcome. Can you believe it? I can't. I personally cannot believe Alex Pearce has got off.
No, and I know you're absolutely 100% behind the decision, as I've said to you on radio last night, and I've got no qualms with that decision, but let's make that a consistent ruling moving forward, where the Tribunal actually quoted, and I think you've put that on social media as part of what you do, to suggest that the Tribunal now has drawn a line in the sand, so to speak. To be honest with you, Scully, there's more confusion after that decision than less confusion. And that's coming from, look, Docker supporters, no one's having a crack at Alex Pearce. This isn't something, an anti-Freo. I just think he was pretty lucky to get off. Having spoken to a very, very high-ranking Dockers official on Sunday, they were going to appeal, always going to appeal.
Yes.
And I think have a throw at the stumps, but not with a lot of confidence. And I think that would be a fair assessment.
Yeah, because that's been the consistency of the Tribunal. Like we didn't think that they'd look at this as a football incident and go, well, exactly what happened. Like I think the ruling and the way they've explained it was pretty much as it happened.
So if you're a North Melbourne supporter, you're going, well, Paul Curtis, who gets 3 weeks for tackling, and maybe he got it slightly wrong, but the end result was concussion. I thought that was a footy incident, which was unfortunately part of the game.
Mate, shout out Jackson Archer. I'm telling you, I know that potentially some people say he went in too hard, but it's the same decision made by Alex Pearce. So if I can just be a little critical, I'm going to read you quotes from the Tribunal's decision. This is one which I just thought was completely bizarre, and this sounds like a good bloke defence and a little bit of Paddy Dangerfield areas. Pearce, whose evidence was given thoughtfully and with an obvious endeavour to answer truthfully. What are you talking about? Like, who gives a shit if he's making an endeavour to be truthful or not? Or who cares if he's the captain or not? It shouldn't matter. Just look at the incident and rule. So that sort of comment around Pearce's defence and how he spoke, that you know, what if you're Jackson Archer and you're a second-year player, a third-year player, and you can't defend yourself as well? Does that mean you shouldn't get off.
I'm not surprised.
That's a joke.
It is a joke, but I don't think that's abnormal in a lot of areas. I think if you can articulate well, in this case, Alex Pearce did, and we know Paddy Dangerfield has, I still stand by the fact that some of the better players get a slightly better run, whether it's with the umpires, if there's a 50-50. I just feel that subconsciously, or even in this case, listening to him did not hurt his case. In fact, it enhanced his chances of getting off. I know you're 100% right, and a first-year player, say Bo Allen, for instance, going up, although he's well-spoken, whether he has the standing in the game to maybe sway the tribunal. And let's be honest, a lot of these tribunal members are ex-players.
Yes.
So,
yeah, the Bo Allen one, what a great example. I mean, I just think that's a joke, to be honest. What about this one? Every incident must be and is examined and determined on its own facts.
Yeah, well, the guy we speak to regularly, David Zeta, who tries to take a pretty... Yeah. He's there for every minute of every session on Fox Footy, and so we like chatting to him on 6PR, and he can put it into context about not necessarily whether it's right or wrong, but what the tribunal says and what the evidence is, and I think he's a good barometer for, and given the time he spends at these hearings, to give us a good reflective piece after each hearing.
If a collision results in a concussion to a player, but that collision was not caused or contributed to by a failure by the reported player to take responsible care, there is no reportable offence. That is true, those words, but it's not how the tribunal's been ruling. So
you should go, seriously, you should approach Andrew Dillon, because I think you've got a passion for this.
I may not need to, because they're now listening to me, Skeeter. I'm more confused after this than I was, only because I just didn't think he was going to get off. But well done, Alex Pearce. Well done, Dockers fans. You should be very happy. You've got your captain for a very important game this weekend against the Gold Coast Suns. If we flip across the river to north of the river, Jake Waterman out for the season. You and I spoke to him last night on 6PR. Disappointed, of course, that his season is done. You know, I think there's been a few quotes pulled out of this and highlighted, but, you know, an interesting thing and probably interesting to talk about when these sort of incidents happen. So I've had both my shoulders reconstructed, exactly what Jake's doing. There is always an option to play without getting it reconstructed.
Well, that's what I asked. Was there an option?
Yeah, so there is always. But West Coast have won one game. They're not going to compete for finals.
Well, that's what he said. He said if they were in contention or around the finals, I think they might have rolled the dice.
But there's almost 100% success rate in reoccurrence of dislocation. So you basically, honestly, you're held together with the tape that's holding your shoulder together. And as a forward, he would be playing and his shoulder would be coming in and out all year. Like, it's just not a sustainable way to play footy.
Yeah, and you don't like to obviously go to another pundit, but someone like Kane Cornes then questioning the contract, not just on him, but others that get these deals and then 12 months later or less than they have a long-term injury. I think that these types of injuries, you can't mitigate against that when you're putting a contract in play for the future. So I think for Jake, and not just for the fact that he's a good player, but I think he's a pretty important part of the structure of their culture, and that's
leadership.
Leadership, which I think at the moment is probably, let's say, it's a bit shaky.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kane's got an issue with long-term contracts. He doesn't have an issue with Jake Waterman's long-term contract.
But by the same token, as we said last night, it's not the player's fault. It's the club, the manager, and the player's the beneficiary, or conversely, they can get stitched.
Yeah, so I'd be signing Jake Waterman to long-term every day of the week, especially if his running mate Oscar Allen isn't there next year, which is going to be interesting given, I guess as a positive, we'll see Jack Williams and Archer Reid in Jake's spot with Oscar Allen. Like, we're not going to be going, well, Oscar and Jake are taking the spots, and they're going to develop those young players, which is a good thing. Talking about young players, Skeeter, West Coast took Tom McCarthy with pick 1 from Richmond VFL and Jacob Newton from Norwood in the Sandful. Tell us a little bit about both of these blokes, Skeet.
Yeah, not a lot, to be honest.
We actually do know a little bit because we had to find out last night.
But McCarthy is a quick half-back and has been really playing well in the VFL.
I saw a quote this morning, which is one of the great quotes from Tom McCarthy. It was on Triple M with Zave, I think, and said, look, a long story short, I used to be shit, now I'm good.
That's what he said. That's the most succinct way of summing it up, and he sounds like he's a bit of a character. He quit his job, I think, as in marketing yesterday.
Yep.
So that's done for the time being. There's been a couple of cases. Look, he'll play Waffle Eagles this weekend, which is similar to Jack Hutchinson, who was picked up last year, and his first game, He had to drive up to beautiful Northern to play the West Coast, to play Perth for the West Coast Eagles. So 3 days later or 2 days later,
Kicked 5.
Kicked 5. I think he kicked 5 in the first game.
Yeah.
Took a couple of really good hangers, and it was funny because even being interviewed by Seven after the game, he was, I think, obviously didn't know too many of the teammates, but that's going to be something that Tom's going to confront. Interesting that, look, he was a clear number 1 pick, and I think the clear memory of seeing him selected was his family and his mate. I'd love to find out who he was. He was dressed up in the Eagles mascot gear.
We might try and track him down for Hammer's Happy Hour on Friday. That's got that written all over it.
Perfect. That's right up his alley.
So I reckon like Minnie McWalter and others would have known him from Richmond days. I know he wasn't. I reckon he would have had a bit of intel from Richmond, Minnie, and a few other Richmond players.
Any other clubs they might go to apart from Richmond to get their players?
Well, I mean, like Minnie came from Melbourne, though, didn't he? Wasn't he coaching at Melbourne last year?
Yeah, I'm taking that, yeah.
Oh, sorry, you haven't a laugh.
A laugh, yeah.
Other WA boys drafted Michael Selwood from the Thunder, Peel Thunder to the Bulldogs. Archer May, who came over here to sort of, I guess, progress his career. Drafted from Subiaco, he went to Essendon.
Yes, Collingwood very keen to get him, and they put some parameters there that they thought might enable that, but not to be.
Lockie Blackiston. Sorry, I'm going to come back on that. And Rowan Steele, West Perth to Collingwood. What did you say about Collingwood?
Well, on social media again, there was suggestions that Collingwood were trying to put in play.
Don't play.
Well, you don't play. Yeah, and they were very keen to get him, but some suggesting draft tampering.
Can I? They're suggesting draft tampering.
Well,
I've got a bit of intel on this, and it's funny intel that I learnt last night. I won't say exactly who, but just use your imagination. Some former teammates of Adam Selwood, who would have been at the wake afterwards,
yes,
who have relatively senior positions at different AFL clubs. Some good, very good banter, like completely joking and taking the piss, going at each other, saying, "Why were you hiding him away? Who did you speak to get him away? Put him away?" And it was, I believe.
So was Matt Rosa at the wake, was he?
I believe. Well, think about someone else who might have been there too.
Okay,
quite a senior position at a football club.
At another football club.
Yes, quite a senior position. Okay. Almost the most senior position.
Okay, a CEO.
Quite tall.
Okay. Oh, he's a coach?
Yeah, might have been a coach.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
What, are we talking about big Coxie?
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just trying to...
Anyway, all I say is, whoever I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure, and again, on the phone, either the GM or someone at Subi was put on a speakerphone and they were abusing him as a gag. I think there's a bit of connection. It was just very funny to watch. I will say, though, Matty Rosa, the funeral of Sellers was finished as the pre-season draft was happening. He had to join the call-up from West Coast because they had 4 picks in the mid-season draft.
Yeah.
And a couple of those being West Australians, as we've just mentioned. So well done to Matty to getting that done. I think they were pretty happy with who they got to Essendon. I don't think any of them are playing, as we said, may be the case on Monday. I don't think any of them are playing tonight in the Thursday game. It would have been a bit of a whirlwind era. Look, Skate, have you seen what's going on here, and are you across what's happening? Geelong set to be fined in coming weeks for third-party payments.
I have read that.
I've seen this. There's this conspiracy theory going on that no one's talking about this, that if it was any other club, there'd be people in bushes trying to get doorstop interviews with, but no one's speaking about it. I'm only not speaking about it because I don't know what's going on. I'm not trying to hide anything.
Are they talking about a specific player, be it a Bailey Smith?
Well, no one's come out and done it. I don't know.
Well, the third-party stuff, I mean, unless they'll get a fine, most likely, if that's the case, but unless there's a whack stronger than that, which there's not going to be, then, yeah, I mean, the third-party stuff, yeah, can I be totally honest?
Please.
I don't really care. I mean, it's not like a sexy storyline for me.
Good.
Am I being too abrupt?
What would be a sexy storyline for you? What would be?
You losing more money in the tipping. That's what gets me going.
Very good. There was quite a few cartons of stout sold, so there's some more money down the drain for me, Skater. Stout 20 is still live if you do want to buy that stout online, shelterbrewing.com.au. The Tassie government estimate Macquarie Point Stadium will cost almost $1 billion to build. Where are they getting those funds? Is there a hold up here?
No,
I saw Brendan Gale banging on it.
But they're saying, so I think it's 30,000 seat capacity from memory. And I stand corrected, not my area of expertise, as you'd know. But I'm pretty sure Optus Stadium, going back in the day, cost around $1 billion. Now, that's going back to, 16, 17, 18 when it finally got off the ground. So, look, to me, I know it feels like a lot of money, and it is. And I know there's people going to say we should be spending on housing and education and health. I get all that. But I think the deal will still get done. I think the team in Tassie will happen.
It's posturing, isn't it?
There's a lot of posturing.
Bit of peacocking.
It'd be great to have as an outsider, you go and visit Hobart in the middle of winter to watch your team play under the roof, bit like at Marvel. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of that happening, and the government's trying to push back, and the AFL is having their piece of the action in terms of how they want it to play out. But it'll happen. I'm so sure that the Tassie thing will happen. How
do we feel about Tom Morris reports that Ken Hinkley will walk mid-season if he feels the season is gone? How many weeks away is this, do you reckon? And how do we feel about that movement?
I think Ken, to be totally, I don't know Ken at all, but I'd imagine if in a month from now and their season is cooked, that he's a noble guy. I think his record suggests that he'll put the club first and he will walk. I've got no question that would be on the radar. I
had someone say to me, and I can't remember who, that perhaps Josh Carr doesn't want to take it on, like doesn't want just to take over at round 14 in a dead season. Like, it's not that it's a blight on his record or anything, but he almost wants to,
clean slate,
push the shitty game plan that's going on right now, push it out the door. Come day one of pre-season, here's the way we're playing, here's my way, rather than cop 8 weeks of garbage and try to recycle some players through then.
And maybe they finish bottom 6 and he gets a better draft. I don't know. I'm not sure that the rationale, but you're right. As a coach, you just, if the club says and Ken says, mate, I want to step down, you're obliged, I guess, to take over, but probably not ideally under those circumstances. Although, probably easier to do it, dare I say it, than Dean Cox has had in some respects, having reached a grand final. There's not too many other steps for Coxie to go to, and he's finding life pretty tough as it is.
There was some good feedback last night for Coxie from some of his former team.
Oh, really?
Just fucking brilliant. Here comes the rebuild. When's the rebuild start?
How did Coxie handle all that? Because he's a big...
Oh, how do you reckon?
You're not great.
No. Handled it beautifully. He just front-footed every single one of them. It was just brilliant.
Quite blunt, was he?
Yeah, it was beautiful stuff. Like, beautiful. Just... Yeah, everyone is in good shape. Shelter Brewing Co., the beer that we can't get enough of. Will Schofield, Mark Renning, Shelter Footycast. Okay, remember for Thursdays, if you are a small business owner or even looking to take your side hustle to the next level, contact Aspect Accountants, who are bringing us the numbers this month, and you can contact them for this end of financial year for a free initial consultation on all things accounting and tax. aspect.accountants.com.au. You get in touch with Ben and the boys over there and they will sort you out. They are bringing us the numbers today, Skeeter. Let's get into some of the games. Gold Coast Fremantle, People First Stadium, Saturday 11:20am. Not too early, but not too late either. Pretty good timing. It's a big game for Freo, one that not many people will think that they can win. David Swallow and Touk Miller, 150th game as teammates. First set of teammates for Suns to do that, which is a nice little stat there, Skeeter. And Leo Lombard.
Yeah.
Pick 9 last year's draft. Tell us about him, Skate.
No, he's a talent. I have seen some vision of him. He's quick. have seen vision. I know you think that I'm talking Swahili here, but I've seen him as part of the draft build-up, and he looks good. Obviously...
Where does he play?
I think he's mid-forward, bit off half-back, through the middle. He can do it all!
Mid-forward, bit off.
He can do it all. Is that a fair shout?
Well, don't try and tell me you know anything about him.
I've seen some vision. Doesn't mean I know exactly what his metrics are and what his KPIs are.
Ask him for his metrics. Where's he play?
I said sort of mid-forward. Where does he play?
I don't know.
That name is a beauty, by the way.
Good luck to you, young fellow on your debut, by the way.
We rate him.
From all of us here at the show.
No, he's a good player. And that even adds to the St Kilda gripe that the Nepo babies are starting to get better and better.
Oh, that's very good. All right, some numbers thanks to Aspect Accounts. Freo haven't beaten the Gold Coast on the Gold Coast since 2015. Have lost the last 4. Alex Pearce is the only docker to play that day who will play on the weekend.
Question given the injury to Cooper Simpson, so they'll have a replacement required there.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of any other. Obviously, Pearce is available. So there's talk of Sean Darcy being available. I would be staggered. I'd be staggered if he would come in. Bear in mind, there's rain forecast for the Gold Coast on Saturday. So I would be loath, be shocked if Justin Longmuir gave Sean Darcy an immediate call. I would have thought 2 or 3 weeks, given there's a bye coming up, get some waffle footy into him. I don't think there'll be, apart from the injuries, too many changes at all, given what they did against Port.
Is it a James Aish or a Banfield that comes permanently on and then someone as a sub? Something like that. There's a bit of word that Mac Andrew, a bit of a question mark over him heading into this weekend. But well, that'd be a positive for Freo. I mean, Gold Coast have got probably one of the best back lines in the comp at the moment.
Sam Collins is leading the charge there, isn't he?
Yeah, and you got to remember they're doing it without Charlie Ballard, who did his knee here.
He round one, wasn't it?
Yeah, so against West Coast. 2 of the best young midfield duos in the comp as well, Rowell and Anderson, and probably Tuke Miller to chuck him in there. And Brayshaw and Sarong going head-to-head. I think that's exciting matchups. Neither really lock anyone down. Like Tuke Miller does do some run-with jobs these days, but I reckon it'll be a bit of a head-to-head job and probably dictates how this game goes.
Yeah, a lot of players in that grouping who get their hands dirty pretty happily, and that'll be the case if it's a bit wet on Saturday. The good news is the Suns will play finals. That's almost a given, isn't it? We can almost lock them in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's just a question of how high. I don't know if he's going to play much between now and the end of the season, but David Swallow, I think it's a really great reward for a guy that's been through absolutely the highs and mostly lows at the Suns to get, hopefully, from his perspective, a chance to play in September. So, yeah, it should be a good game, actually. I haven't marked this down as a certainty for the Suns. I think Fremantle playing some good footy, always tough up there.
The stat that those two are the first teammates to do 150 games here, though, that's a pretty extraordinary stat. Like that, they've been in the comp for how long?
Oh, more than a decade.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not their 250th game together. It's their 150th. It means they haven't had a lot of continuity with their list.
No, and that's part of the argument of Mark Evans and co about, they lose Stephen May, they lose Tom. It's been hard to retain players. So the fact they've been able to keep King when, as soon as he was drafted, St Kilda puts out a cheeky little post about, would you like to join your twin? So they've always had to fight against it. I know they've got advantages with the academy and the draft as it stands, but I'm prepared to say, look, I hope they can work through it and become a strong team moving forward. It's good for the comp. With that much money invested in them, we hope that they are good as opposed to ordinary.
If I was a part of the commercial and partnerships division at Gold Coast, I'd just be strongly pushing for a Burley Pavilion sponsorship, some sort of VIP set up for players. If you could just send them down there every weekend, Skeet, one of your and my favourite spots.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't have too much trouble keeping players. I wouldn't have thought.
That's a good spot. You just be sitting there about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and
they should do their team reviews down there. Go do their backs and forward line reviews down at the Burley Pav on
lots
a Sunday.
Of influencers there, lots of people dressed in interesting attire.
Yeah, good looking guys and girls.
Yeah, if that's your go, then you do your best work.
Who are you picking?
You got to pick the Gold Coast at home.
Yeah.
They're very tough to beat up there.
Could you pick Freo?
Could you?
Yeah.
Well, what are they? They're the big outsiders. I would have thought Gold Coast, though, playing more consistent. And look, we've seen one good away game from the Dockers. That was against the Giants. I thought the Giants were poor that day. If they cop Gold Coast under those circumstances, they're a chance. But I just think the Gold Coast Suns probably.
Can you imagine if, in the space of 3 weeks, Collingwood had to fly to play Freo and then back to play West Coast in 3 weeks? Because that's what Freo have done. They've played Sydney, GWS in Sydney, which is a bloody long trip, come back, played a game here, and then they're going back to Gold Coast. Like, can you imagine any Melbourne team doing that? No. They do not do that. They're the 2 biggest trips, and they put them back to back.
That's the issue, because we do live on the West Coast.
I'm not having to go travelling.
It's more the, and I know that Simon Garlick is a really big advocate of trying to minimise that, and the North Melbourne deal will hopefully mean that I think they've got a month at home. That is significant.
Yes.
A month at home, which is...
But that doesn't mean they need to trade that off with giving them the 2 biggest trips.
Just saying, but it's taking small steps, and that is one step for them. And I think at the back end of the year as well. So it's all incremental, and it's not happening straight away, but at least the AFL are starting to listen.
Well, they're not, because it's a clear indication that they don't give a shit, because it'd be so easy to put an Adelaide game either side of one of these and give them a 2.5 hour flight instead of 2 5-hour flights. They don't care, Skate.
No,
they don't.
What I'll say is I think scheduling an AFL season, particularly after Cyclone Alfred and all that's gone with it, I think it's not as easy as what it sounds. That's just a broad...
I'm not saying you and I can do it. That's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
Someone smarter.
You know what? Some of the AFL does is, used to be old. Travis. I think he's gone now. Well, he's gone.
Yeah, he's stressed out too hard.
But I just think if you put that to them, they'd go, well, this is the reason. Bang, 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 bang. And you go...
I reckon number one reason would be we don't give a shit, and then they'd give us the other.
Oh, you're a harsh man.
I pick Gold Coast as well. West Coast versus Geelong. Sorry, my voice is cooked today. Today, you reckon? So you meant to say that.
Well, no, I couldn't get it out because you just, I don't know. We have to get a sponsorship for that.
West Coast versus Geelong, Optus Stadium. My voice is nice and smooth. Like
5:20.
Yes. Sunday. Why is that? WA Day.
Yeah, long weekend. They're saying people will want to go, sit in the rain and watch the footy at about 8 o'clock at night.
Jack Henry's 150th match. Eagles wearing the black and gold WA jumper.
Ooh.
Freo didn't like this.
Oh,
why not?
Well, I think they're sort of, you know what, it's semantics, but maybe Justin Longmuir just having a little shot across the bow as opposed to being really...
Well, why don't Freo do it? There's nothing stopping Freo from doing it as well. Why don't they just do a different design?
Doesn't quite, I mean...
Also, what, it doesn't work for them.
It doesn't work on the Gold Coast, WA Day, and they're playing up on the other side of the world. So I got no issue with it. And if it makes them a couple extra dollars, you know that the Eagles...
That's all it's about.
The Eagles are struggling for cash, so let's help them out.
That's a good point. Geelong have beaten the Eagles the last 5 times by an average of 70 points, thanks to Aspect Accountants. Hasn't been happy hunting ground either side of the country against the Cats for the Eagles. Jake Waterman, we know, is out with his shoulder injury. Jack Williams kicked 4 goals in the waffle last week. He or Archer Reid would be certain ins for Jake, you'd think. Connor O'Sullivan expected to make a return to Geelong's backline, who's been very good for a young fella, Skate.
How long? And I'm not saying it's this weekend, obviously, but you'd think if you're going to have mid-season draftees like Tom McCarthy and the kid from... Jacob Newton?
Don't know.
Yep, I think it's him. You'd want to at least have a look at them seriously in the next 2 or 3 weeks, wouldn't you? If you're drafting them... That's, I guess, the aim. How that plays out, not sure. I thought I heard you say that you gave them a silly chance, given the...
Where did I say that?
Oh, who knows? Might have been Simon Bowler.
I said it to Jake Waterman.
There you go.
I was just trying to make him feel better. He's on his bloody deathbed. Shoulder surgery today.
Cats will be winning this. I would have thought Eagles, McGovern, Waterman, Yeo, they need every player available around to make them competitive, and that's the wet weather hopefully makes it a tighter contest.
All I said was Geelong have come off the back of a very big game against the Bulldogs.
Yep.
It's a long trip up the Princess Freeway, fly over. It's a 6 or 7 hour trip by the time you get all the logistics done with driving around. All I said was it's a big trip, and West Coast will be happy with the fact they're going to make a big trip across the country, but... they're a much better side than West Coast. They'll need to be at their very best, West Coast, to make this even a challenge. The Eagles, since 2022, have lost the contested possession counts by 10 or more 51 times, 17 more than the next worst team. So they've been a terrible contested possession side. That has been improving of late, though, Skeeter. If you do want to go to this one, and Skeet's beautifully pumped this one up, sit in the rain Sunday at 5:20. We do have 2 tickets to give away to this game. Jump onto Shelter FootyCast on Instagram. You'll see a post there. Tag a mate, and you can go along. 2 tickets. They'll probably be undercover.
And
it's
not
a pretty good
just that.
stadium to watch.
Either way, you can go and you don't have to get up early the next morning.
It's a good point. Have a few beers. Not Shelter, unfortunately. Yeah. We're working on that stadium deal at the moment.
Oh, there you go.
I don't think we are.
I think haven't the other mob got it for about 25 years?
Yeah, I don't know. Is there another beer company other than Shelter? I wouldn't have thought so. So there you go. We're picking Geelong.
Yes.
Will Schofield, Mark Redding's Shelter FootyCast. Hey, Skate, if you were wondering who Frothies with FootyCast and Friends were, can I tell you who's coming? You are coming with Skeeter's mum. Dan Constant, Hamish Brayshaw from BackChat will be there. Hamish Brayshaw, captain of the East Perth Football Club.
Hang on, he plays Monday.
No, does he?
I think he's playing Monday. So what does that mean?
Well, I think he's working. He's working the game on Sunday, so I think he's just popping in.
Oh, okay.
So he's for a water.
Okay,
I'm sure for a water. Does he definitely play Monday?
Yeah, East Perth, West Perth.
thought he had a bye. Maybe he won't be there. Jaden Ellis from the 4-Wheel Drive podcast will be there.
Yes, really?
There may be other special guests too. A couple of Fox Footy people maybe putting their head in.
Paps, do you mean Paps is wandering down? No?
Adam Papaleo will be there. You know Adam Papaleo will
Paps,
be there.
he'll have his 2 beers and then just keep an eye on you and I to make sure we...
Busselton royalty. So make sure you jump onto socials. You can click the link and let us know you're coming to that. Brisbane versus Essendon at the Gabba Thursday night. That is tonight. Brisbane have won 5 of their last 6 against Essendon, thanks to Aspect for the numbers. So they've done all right. They've been a premiership side in that time. So no real surprises there. Since joining Brisbane, Lachie Neale has played the Bombers 7 times, polled 16 Brownlow votes and averaged 35 touches. Do you reckon Lachie Neale's up for a big day? Do you reckon you might put someone on him, Essendon?
You'd think that there's a bit of danger, wouldn't you, for Brad Scott tonight? It could. Look, put this: if they play to the level or have the same intent they did against Hawthorn, it could get extremely ugly. In part because of the injuries that have hit Essendon and the fact they're not that great. Let's be honest. They're not a side that I think they can beat the teams around them like they did against Richmond last week. But I hold great fears for them. If the weather's okay up there and Brisbane play to their optimum, it could get messy.
Essendon have Kyle Langford out with a quad. He'll be out for a number of weeks. Ben Mackay with a foot. I didn't know he was injured.
A month.
Wow. And Zach Reid with a hamstring. So don't know anything about Zach Johnson. He was picked 70 in last year's draft. He'll be debuting for Essendon.
I'll have to do some homework on him before I call the game tonight.
I can just tell you, at pick 70, going pretty deep into the bowels there.
I'm trying to think, Matt Taberner, just off the top of my head, was he down in that sort of territory?
Justin Westhoff was, he was 76 in my
That's
year.
a great result.
I don't know if there's too many other 70 sort of operators that have done pretty well. But Zach will go well in his first game, no doubt. Elijah Sardis,
yes.
Thank you.
He's been a player they really thought highly of, but hasn't quite been able to crack it for a regular footy, has he?
I think this could be a complete bloodbath, like a proper bloodbath. Essendon had the highest average losing margin this year out of any side, 54 points. This could be an absolute blowout, and they're going to have to do something special to stop that, Skate.
Yeah, I think if the tone is set in the first quarter and it's sort of 4 goals to, they start well, Brisbane, then I 100% agree. So I'm hoping that's not the case, because nothing worse sitting and calling a game that's over early on. But this looks like a genuine mismatch.
Collingwood versus Hawthorn. Who are we picking? Brisbane.
Yep.
Collingwood versus Brisbane, MCG.
Collingwood versus Hawthorn.
Collingwood versus Hawthorn.
Yep.
That says that there. I'm just
only game in Melbourne this weekend.
Good, because they were all there last weekend. This is a good one, isn't it?
Oh, it's a beauty.
Lots on the line.
And you know what? The question, not at the feet of Collingwood, it's firmly at the Hollywood Hawks, whether they can get back to some sort of form. They're in a spot of bother. If I know you said get on a bit of a run, but they're not playing good enough footy at the moment.
Yeah, well, that ended up at bloody week 1 of my run. They were going to win 4 in a row, and they lost to Brisbane. So yeah, the run's over. The Hawks are now 16-4 with Will Day and 7-10 without since round 22, 2023. So he's such an important player to them. Collingwood. Listen to these ins for Collingwood: Darcy Moore, Steele Sidebottom, Lachie Schultz, Scott Pendlebury, and Bobby Hill. Like, that's about as good of a 5 as you can ever get back into a side.
Wow.
Like, you got a Norm Smith medalist, Scott Pendlebury, best and fairest, Steele Sidebottom, one of the
premiership players.
Yep. Captain Lachie Schultz, who I think's found his groove this year, other than the knockout and an injury.
The only upside for history says they are very competitive. In fact, they've got a good record against Collingwood. I think they've won 14 of their last 18. For some reason, they match up well. Now, I'm not sure how that plays out tomorrow night. It should be a beauty, though. I'm really looking forward to this one. So Collingwood have just been take out round 1. They've been so consistent. That doesn't mean they're going to win the flag.
Yes.
But they are playing terrific football. Only up by 3 points at three-quarter time, I think it was, against North Melbourne. But they have gears. They have that mix of youth and inexperience. Maynard's a big out for them, of course, with that plantar fasciitis. A couple of weeks or more, depending. But those ins are significant.
Absolutely, they are. Hawthorn laid only 36 tackles last week. It's lowest since 2008. I reckon I can guarantee you how this game's going to go.
I think Hawthorn, there's a response coming.
Yes. Simo used to call it an ambush. So,
Oh, really? So did other people going back over the years.
I'm just saying that he's my only coach. I didn't used to speak to any other coaches. So I'm not saying, oh, Jesus.
The ambush, yeah. We've used it in the media for about 50 years. But, yeah, no, you're right. It could be an ambush, which is you hide in the bushes and they come out and then Hawthorn goes whoosh.
You are just an idiot.
Well, it's a Thursday. I've got a few hours off.
I'm just saying that in the media this week, have you heard anything from Hawthorn?
No.
Anything said?
No,
Right, nothing.
No, I
just
agree.
hiding away in the bushes, Skeeter.
They're probably a better the round at the line. There you go.
I'm going to take them as the upset of the weekend. I'm going to pick Hawthorn, and it's just going to be in the trenches, tackle. They'll have 80 tackles.
35? Did you say 35?
36 lowest since 2008. I can just
36 is low on any measurement for footy clubs. That and for Hawthorn, a team that last year really prided itself on that element of the game. Yeah, it's a really good point.
They're not my. Well, I reckon they're almost guaranteed to win this game. I reckon they'll win it.
Please, if you're going to have if you're tipping.
Don't listen to me responsibly.
Don't listen. No, although, but I think you're right. If there's an upset,
right?
there's a lot of sort of strong favourites. This is the game that I think that Hawthorn is capable of, and their record suggests they can. There's the question mark is they haven't shown us really that they can play to the level of last year at all this year.
Oh, I pick Hawthorn and I guarantee they win. Who you pick?
Collingwood.
GWS versus Richmond at Ingy Stadium. I'm not going to give this too much, to be honest. Giants are hopeful to get Josh Kelly back. They've missed him. He's been out for 5 weeks. Toby Nankervis will return from Richmond, so that'll be significant for them. Sam Lawler is out with a hamstring. Thanks to Aspect, Giants are the number one team in time on this season. They've outscored opposition by an average of 11 points a game or 2 goals in the last 5 minutes of quarters. Giants should smash Richmond here.
Yeah, look, I think Prestia, Lynch amongst those expected to be named tonight, so they'll get some quality back. How many games have they won? 3?
Yes.
Oh, look, if they win 1 or 2 more for the season, Adam Uze has to get a massive tick.
Yep.
He already has, I guess, in some people's eyes. So, yeah, and they've been competitive at times. They're going to have some tough weeks. This might be one of those. The Giants was so much better last week against Carlton. Toby Green, obviously, in his milestone game. It was great to see James Hird presenting or coming into the rooms pre-game. But, yeah, Giants, the quality in that side at the moment and the experience compared to Richmond, I think it's a no-brainer.
This one's, I'm going to pick GWS.
Yep, me too.
Sydney versus Adelaide, SCG, Saturday night. Justin McInerney's 100th game. Congratulations to him. Sydney have beaten Adelaide the last 6 times, one average of 24 points. Skipper Callum Mills is out with suspension. He'll be disappointed with that. But Taylor Walker is expected to return for the Crows.
I think Callum Mills' suspension will disappoint Callum, but even more so the coaching staff who... You know, the captain has had let's be honest, he's had a pretty average time over the last 12 months, some of his own doing, some of it not. Yes. And to get suspended, I thought he's a bit lucky, to be honest with you.
What did he do? I didn't see.
He left the ground, and who was Sydney playing last week? They got beaten.
Idea.
Anyway,
they played Melbourne.
They played Melbourne. They
got smashed.
Yeah, I think if you have a look at the replay, he left the ground and he was extremely fortunate, I think, to get one. We talk about fortunate and Liam Baker getting a fine. I think this sits in that category. Either way, Callum Mills, he's not a huge loss because he hasn't played much recently, but the Sydney Swans, they have lost their mojo. They've got a great record against Adelaide, always dangerous in Sydney, but if Adelaide's to play finals, which they probably will, and finish top 4, these are the types of games they need to win because history says they struggle at the SCG.
Yeah, so are we picking Sydney in this one then?
I'm tipping Adelaide on the basis of the form we're seeing. You can tip Sydney, but you're going in there with only one reason, because it's at their home ground. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Not too many ins. They've got the Pelican, Lewis Malikan and Justin McInerney both returning through suspension. We don't know if they're going to pull any at selection table either. Probably should have asked Coxie last night. Melbourne versus St Kilda. I'm going to pick Sydney too. Adelaide. Yep. Melbourne versus St Kilda. TIO Traeger Park in Alice Springs. Wowee. This is going to be a good game.
No, but Melbourne's in good form. Let's give them some credit.
It'll be slippery.
Slippery?
Alice Springs.
If it's a day game, why would it be slippery?
It's in Northern Territory.
Mate, I've seen a game against the Dockers played against Melbourne last year. It was hot, beautiful weather. They kicked 100. They belted them by 100 points. So
Oh, sorry. You're the weatherman. I said, who are you? The Rain Man. I can tell you're not the Rain Man.
well,
No, he was the very highly intelligent numbers man. I'm talking about Dustin Hoffman, the Rain Man. You're the opposite of that.
I'm an excellent driver, as he would say. Not a great parker, but an excellent driver. No, it'll be fine. It'll be good weather. I'm guaranteeing you it'll be decent weather. Saints are just going. They're average.
How would you know what the weather's going to do in Alice Springs? Like, genuinely, you're saying the weather's going to be... How would you know? How would you actually know?
I'm going to find out your book.
Most use apps on Scanner's phone, the weather app. Alice Springs, like your favourite location, is it? Like, why would you ever...
Shut up.
Check...
You just
check the weather. I'm just trying
what day is it? Saturday or Sunday?
Have you found the app on your phone?
I've got the
Do you know
weather
that
thing up.
The widget?
What day is it?
It's Sunday, Arvo.
Sunday, 18 degrees and sunshine. So don't forget this slippery.
Doesn't sound too hot. Doesn't sound too hot.
No, it's not too hot. But doesn't mean it's going to be slippery. It's sunshine, not a cloud in the sky, you buffhead. It'll be a good day and a crap game. There you go.
Strap yourselves.
Melbourne, I'm tipping them. Maxi good. Now, I know he won't win the Brownlow. But could he?
How good is he?
I mean, should he be at least in discussions at the end of the, given what he's doing?
I'd love to see what his best result in a Brownlow medal has been, Max Gawn.
If any ruckman, I mean, the late Jimmy Steins, I think, and Goods was a ruckman in part when he was winning a Brownlow. But if any ruckman, a pure ruckman, deserves to win it in the last 20 years, sure, it's this bloke.
Yeah, like Max Gawn, he's had 121 votes in his career.
That's not a lot, is it?
He averages 0.6 a game. Clayton Oliver, for relevance, averages 0.7. Christian Petrarca averages 0.65. So he has a lot. I don't think, I said this on Monday, I don't think there's a more important player to a team in the competition than Max Gawn.
Yeah, a good matchup. Ryan Marshall, I'm assuming, is right to go. That's going to be one of the better matchups of the day.
Yeah. Like Ryan Marshall started slow this year and has, turned himself into what we know as, one of the premier rucks in the competition once again. I wonder how much he thinks about the TDK stuff and Carlton and St Kilda and the rest of it. Maybe he wouldn't think about it at all. I'm going to pick... I don't really care about this game at all. I'll pick St Kilda to win.
No, that's locked in? Make sure you lock it in because I want you to lock in St Kilda so I know when I'm watching the game who to barrack for them.
Are you still leading the West?
By 2.
You've moved up.
Well, I changed my tip last week from Sydney to Melbourne. On the day of the game, I was just thought, no, I'm not confident.
So who are you picking?
I'm picking Melbourne. The Demons will be winning this game. And you know what? Their form's actually not bad in the past month. I think you've undersold them as being a team that was completely cooked to now being competitive and, a sneaky chance to challenge back into the season.
Well, what's the secret with tipping? Because, you clearly have figured it out. Tell us all. Well, because it does sound like to me that you just make it up.
No, market fluctuations can come into it.
So investment strategies,
algorithms,
is that
all
right?
that sort of stuff. Yeah, stuff that you outside your realm.
Probably would be. So what? No, I'm actually interested. How do you pick? Your gut feel? Are you looking at the odds?
Oh, mate, you reckon... Like the cleaning lady often, as I say, often tops the footy tipping. So it's a lot of luck.
Well, you're very, very far from the cleaning lady. Okay, I'll pick St Kilda. There you go.
Okay, good. There's another $20 or whatever's down the Googler.
Carlton, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide and the Western Bulldogs have the bye.
How good is that?
Yeah, very good.
Who would have known?
Shelter Brewing Co. Beer fresh from the Busselton Foreshore. Will Scoville, Mark Redding, Shelter FootyCast. All right, let's have a look at some questions and comments from our good friends, Skeeter.
Did you pre-read any of this?
No.
No, good.
No, never. So make sure, I will say, so come Monday, which is when we'll be awarding Is the Footy Better with Export Stout, make sure you get your submissions in. You go to shelterfootycast.com.au. Look, basically, just get on there and sled Skeeter. That's pretty much all. Because it's funny. Your reactions are funny.
I don't like being. I'm a lover, not a hater. That's not a fight.
But these people don't hate you. It's just quite funny.
But I get that at home. So why do I need to get that publicly as well? Why do I need to be sort of ridiculed and admonished and Dad, your shoes aren't polished and this, you're fat, you're this, all this sort of stuff? Why do I have to get it also from people I don't know?
Have you given them a stout maybe at home? Maybe Victoria and Georgia.
A couple of girls in a clout, not a stout. No, I say that in jest. No, I just bow to their intentions.
This stadium in Hobart will be a belter and proves that football is better with shelter. From Dr. Shoot on YouTube. We've got a little rhyme. Stadium in Hobart will be a belter and proves that football is better with shelter.
I like it. That's in 2028. We've got to wait for that. Is that? Are we still going to be doing this in 3 years?
So this is Jack on YouTube. If you remember Jack from Monday, just gave you a bit of feedback.
Gave me
about export stout making your commentary better. You remember that?
Yes, I do. You gave me a little clip, which is Jack. Nice to have you back.
So following on from the Is the Footy Better with Shelter entry from Monday's post regarding making Skeet's commentary bearable, the entry came from Jack. And this is from Jack on YouTube. Same spelling. Can't say if it's the same. This says, this Jack bloke is hilarious. Includes incorrect facts just to get a rise in Skeeter's heart rate. I think it worked. Honestly, love your commentary, Skeet. Keep up the good, honest work.
Jack,
look at that.
No, Jack, that's nice because I've got self-esteem issues I've got to deal with as well. So no, we take.
I think you felt bad for.
No, it's all good. But you know what? It's a bit like that. You cop a whack on radio. Someone said, just because you had a crack at Mason Cox last night, and someone texting going, maybe because he had a better career than you. And then he goes, who said that? Oh, so you wanted a piece of him. So don't just say it's just me.
I love it.
You love getting the peacock sort of look and going, hang on.
Yeah, receipts were kept. His name was Jason. I got his phone number now because you text in, you dumbass Jason. The AFL have made direct decisions to move the game towards a more fast and free-flowing spectacle, 666 rule, man on the mark, etc. And with no surprise, we're seeing more collisions with concussion outcomes. Surely it's up to the AFL to balance the speed and spectacle of the game with the welfare of the players. You simply cannot expect players to not go for the ball or suggest that they should hit the brakes last minute. This game is becoming a joke. From Daniel on YouTube.
I reckon Daniel makes some really good points. I'm not saying that the game is a joke. We understand that the reason behind it, but I do defer to blokes like yourself in all seriousness, guys, David Mundy, whoever been out there, and particularly more recent times, how quick the game is, how difficult it is. And so I have a lot of sympathy for players. Alex Pearce, for instance, last week, had sympathy for him. The game is so quick. Decisions are made very quickly. So, and with so little time to adjust your movement. So, yeah, I don't know how you address that because it's not getting slower. We tried to, change the rotations to maybe slow the game down to some degree, but end of the day,
you don't need to, mate. Action over outcome. It's very easy. Just be consistent with that. And we can just get on with it. I'll shut up.
But it's unavoidable sometimes. Yeah, correct. These collisions.
Exactly right.
But you have to work out: is it unavoidable if you get to the ball second?
Yeah.
That is, to me, that is also a good reference point, in all seriousness. If you are to the ball first and you are then...
but you don't know until you're there, though. You don't know...
Well, that's a good point, but I'm saying...
You don't know you're second until you're second. You're not trying to get there second.
But if you're 2 steps late, for instance, and the block mark or the hands are on the football... Yes.
But you only know that after the fact.
But that's fine. But that's like a lot of things. That's the judgment call you have to make. And if you get it right, fine. If you're not, then blokes can cuss particularly. That's when we've seen this year and previous that you get nabbed. Andrew on Instagram says, just want to say keep up the good tipping, Sleepy Joe. Been following your tips all year in the West and I'm currently sitting second in my comp. Thank you very much. Look at that. That's just a pure, well, not really called you Sleepy Joe, but pure compliment. I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take that. No, well, some weeks you just got to... In fact, I had a pretty good year last year as well with my predictions for the season, top 8, all that. But, that's forgotten because of the crap I got from you. Okay, yeah, correct. Hi, gents. This is an email from Drew. Thank you very much. It's time the AFLPA and clubs challenge the AFL and Tribunal's definition of reasonable player. The lawyers, administrators and ex-players don't reflect the current playing group or game. Either all the players are surveyed on what they would do in a number of base scenarios to set the current standard of reasonable, or tribunal membership is only open to those less than 3 to 5 years out of the game, and get them a case or two of shelter stout to help them make better footy decisions. That's from Drew. Yeah, I think there's going to be a review at the end of the year. I think there's enough noise now that they need to review the process, which includes not Michael Christian personally, but the process he follows to
send Alex Pearce to the tribunal for 3 weeks in the first place. I think that needs to be reviewed, but we've probably gone on about it a little bit too long.
Anyway, there's a disparity between what the MRO and the tribunal in that case are at, because if one's 3, one's nothing, then something's not right.
Yes. Booger 2, I didn't listen to you. I don't know what you just said. Booger 2, hey lads, what's the chances of Chris Scott eating a burger in the coach's box this weekend?
Mark Thompson style.
Staunch West Coast supporter, but this would be funny. Love the show.
So Mark Thompson going back as at Subiaco 10, 15 years ago. During the third quarter. You got him playing.
I was playing.
Yeah, you lost by 130 odd or something like that. And so, we all were getting our, mustard catering, food coming, because Vic used to work at mustard catering. So, Jacko would have the full meal and he was like, eat everything that came his way. And then we're looking, shot comes up, there's Bomber just on the burger. It was great. It was classic.
Is that fair outrage? Like, do you think that coaches don't eat? They all eat.
I've never seen a coach eat a meal during a game. Have you?
Well,
it's pretty rare.
Yeah, it is rare. But like, you work media, you work game. Do you eat at halftime?
Yeah, I have something at halftime.
So do you think that coaches don't eat? They do.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't, but when the game is on and CV Johnson's jumping around you and turning around in circles, you go, just jump into a burger. That's cool. I think it's classic. I mean, if you're doing that when you're 2 points down, you're not having a burger when you're 2 points down.
It'd be like calling a footy and halfway through a play call, you're just having a mouthful of a pie.
Which can happen.
Yes, you just turn your microphone off though when that happens. Very good. Thank you very much, Booger 2. Just the reminders to finish off. If you're going to come down on Saturday next week to Shelter, we'd love to see you. 5 p.m. Frothies with the FootyCast and Friends. Just let us know. Go to either the website, shelterbrewing.com.au, or you can go to our socials and the link is in bio. Click on that. Let us know you're coming. Make sure you let us know, is the footy better with Shelter this weekend? Specifically with an export stout. You can use Stout 20 at checkout to get your discount there. That'll be coming straight out of my back pocket. We'd love to hear from you there. Go to FootyCast at far out. Go to shelterfootycast.com.au and leave your entry there. There's a link that says, is the footy better with Shelter? I want to know, is Skeeter's commentary better with Shelter? That's pretty much all the reminders I have, Skeeter.
I'm just going to finish off with just the first paragraph of Here Comes the Rain Again. It is, here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion. I want to walk in the open wind. I want to talk like lovers do. Want to dive into your ocean. Is it raining with you, Will? There you go. That's Annie Lennox. And Here Comes the Rain Again.
Can you just give me a line of that sung, though?
Here comes the rain again. That's it.
See you later, everyone. Have a great week.